You are on the clock.
All right. Now, Bobby mentioned about questions. You can hold all your questions to the end because I lose my train of thought very easily. So please hold your questions till the end. Okay, everyone's good, ready to go, we're seated. We'll go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead and start with some statistics, okay? Most recent numbers in 2017, the US collectively, we spent over $68 billion in the weight loss, supplement, and fitness industry. $68 billion. At the same time, 40% of all Americans are clinically obese. That is a jump of like 3%, I think, over from the previous year. So, we are spending more than ever on trying to lose weight, yet, as a country, we are heavier than ever. Okay, so remember those numbers and how significant that is. About results only. You guys been at the gym, you guys know a lot about us. However, there's some things you may not know on the certification side. All these little logos are all different certifications that collectively we hold. So all of us, we all have these different certifications. Some of us, we overlap, but we know some stuff. I personally, I have a bachelor's in science in exercise and wellness with a minor in human nutrition and healthy living. I have my CSCS, which is a certified strength and conditioning coach. I'm currently finishing my precision nutrition certification, level 1. So with all that and all these other certifications, what that means is that we know some stuff. Add in the 25 plus years of experience that Bobby has in this industry, we know a few things and we know kind of what it takes when it comes to weight loss, nutrition, and things of the sort. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So why are we here? We're here to talk about nutrition. We're here to talk a little bit about weight loss. Some of the information, like Bobby mentioned, you might already know. Some of the information might be new. So if it's new, great. And if you already know it, hope that we reinforce some stuff. Disclaimer, we're not medical professionals. We're not registered dietitians. If you come to me, say, I have diabetes and I need you to write me a meal plan. We can't do that legally, even if we know how. We can't do that. But what we can do is that we can coach you and help you make the decision of what foods are going to be best or what exercise routines are going to be best to help you achieve your goals. Again, we're coaching you, we're to help you. We are allowed to help you make those decisions. Make sense? All right, we're going to cover a couple of topics. We're going to cover what makes fat loss complicated, and does it really need to be? We're going to go over the golden rule of fat loss. What does it actually take? We're going to go over the solutions that we offer, results only, stuff that you guys already participate in on a daily basis. So, as we move on, let's talk about the magic pill. If I said, guess what? I discovered there's a pill. If you take it every day for the rest of your life, you're not going to have to do anything else, and you will lose weight, you will get fit, and you will be happy as a clam. Who would take it?
Those of you who didn't raise your hand are liars.
Most of you would take it. Okay? This is what you guys look like, either on the inside or visibly is what you guys look like. So unfortunately, I don't have a magic pill, but I do have good news, and that good news we'll get to later on. So I don't have the magic pill. Part of the reason there is no magic pill is because it's complicated. Your body and food, there's a very complex relationship between your body and food. Okay, I'm going to show a little thing. We're just showing the digestive tract here. None of this is super pertinent. I'm not going to go into it in detail, but what happens with our body and food is super, super complicated, and it's more complicated than I just have to eat less. Okay? It's not just about calories. With those calories in food come nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and all that has an effect on how our bodies operate. So it's super complex. That's part of the reason what makes it difficult. Another part of the reason it makes it difficult, I call it the diet dilemma. Right? Every other week there's a brand new diet that came out from some celebrity somewhere on some remote island. A monk made up a diet that you can follow. Okay? Just by show of hands, there's paleo, keto, all these. If anyone has done any of these diets or know someone who has, go ahead and raise your hand. So I'm not here to demonize any of these diets. I'm not here to tell you they're completely wrong, because to be honest, there's some stuff that these diets or diet systems do right, and we'll talk about that later. So, one thing I do want you to be aware when you're looking at diet information and the new stuff that comes up is this. I'm going to show you a quick little video. Some of you may find it funny. If you have a sense of humor like I do, some of you may not. We'll see.
Frank thinks it's hilarious.
When Zillow buys your
I think
home,
it's hilarious.
life gets a little less stressful. Simply
I advise everyone to eat the same diet. My nutritional philosophy is the perfect fit for all people, because all people are the same. When someone accidentally gets healthy eating a different diet than what I recommend, they're just wrong. What do indigenous Eskimos from Alaska who eat mostly whale and caribou meat have in common with indigenous Peruvians who eat mostly plants? Everything. They're exactly the same. Their natural environments are just wrong for supplying them with different foods. That's what they have in common. You know how all animals in nature basically eat the same thing? Yeah, natural. And that's what people should do. We should all eat according to what our unique body needs. Really? I think that's highly unlikely, highly illogical, a little bit offensive, and highly not good for my business of selling one diet plan to all people. Luckily, I have the one diet that works for everyone. Along with my perfect calibration of foods that I recommend / insist on for everyone, I've also got some other essential dietary commandments. You should only eat food that's organic, biodynamic, and raised by peaceful people who are heavily meditated. And they should only pick the food using their left hand because that's the feminine side. And you want that motherly, nurturing energy food. I like to.
All right, we're going to stop there, but you guys get the idea. So, you guys get the idea. When you run into people like that, who are quote-unquote gurus, and telling you exactly what they tell you is the right thing and everyone else is wrong, that's a big red flag, okay? So we want to avoid any kind of program that demonizes any kind of food group. We want to avoid anything that requires you to consume endless meal replacement shakes. Like if everything you're eating is 5 shakes a day and you get to have a salad for dinner, that's not sustainable. No one eats like that. Definitely steer clear. Don't get me started on juice cleanses. Let's not go there. If it's marketed by a self-proclaimed guru, like we just saw, or Gwyneth Paltrow, because if you know Gwyneth Paltrow, she's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I won't get into it too much, but she definitely promotes some crazy, crazy stuff. If it has you buying and consuming endless supplements like fat burners, ketones, things that aren't really science-based. If it promises impossible results like 6-second abs, you can lose 5 pounds, you can lose 10 pounds in a week if you just do 5 minutes a day, which is not possible. So, back to the diet dilemma. We won't know what to beware of. But, as you guys kind of mentioned earlier, we do see people have success with these diets. Some of these have strong nutritional principles, whether we agree completely with them or not. So what do these diet systems have in common? What do they do right? Things that they do right is that most of these, where people see success, they make you pay attention to what you're putting into your body. Okay, that's one of the biggest things. Number 2, they promote eating quality, nutrient-rich, minimally processed food. That's whole, real food, not endless meal supplement shakes or supplements and that replace what real food is. They promote regular, meaningful exercise. If you see a program that says all you have to do is change this and you don't have to move a muscle, red flag. Again, we don't want to follow anything like that. Remember that good news that we talked about earlier? I found the good news, so I didn't find the magic pill, but I did find a combination of pills, if you will, of things we can do. Here's the thing, these pills are hard to swallow. Because what you need to do is eat well and exercise regularly. What you need to do is trust the process. You need to remember to check your expectations because it didn't come on overnight. It's not going to come off overnight, right? and it takes work on your part. None of this can happen if it's just passive and you just expect things to happen. Things have to come from you. Told you, hard to swallow. So we've kind of talked about why it's so hard. Losing weight, nutrition, and all that confusion. So what really matters when you're trying to lose fat? So I have this little infographic here. We call it the golden pyramid of fat loss. I don't know why it's red. It should be golden, but it's red. So we're going to call it the golden pyramid of fat loss. So the reason it's a pyramid is because the base is the most important part. Okay? So at the base, we see calorie deficit. What that means is you just have to consume less energy or eat less energy than you expend. When you burn more energy, you're going to have a net loss or net deficit of calories. Make sense? That kind of goes into the diets, because most of the diets, when they're promoting good food and all that, you get less calories in. Number 2, protein intake. You hear us harp on protein. Muscle is the biggest thing in your body that's going to help you burn fat. When you don't have muscle, we don't burn fat. So that goes with protein intake. You have to intake protein, replace the amino acids, and make sure that all that's good so that your metabolism is where you want it to be. Next one up, lifting weights. Okay, that's the next most important thing. When we're lifting weights, again, we're building the muscle, we're maintaining the muscle so that we burn more calories. Sleep. I'm sure this is everyone's favorite subject, sleep. When we're not getting enough sleep, our body isn't recovering, our hormones aren't where they're supposed to be, and it's really hard for our body to maintain muscle and keep our metabolism going when we don't have enough sleep. And the last most important thing, it's still important, but the last most important thing is cardio. I'm sure many of you, myself included, thought, to lose weight, I have to do more cardio. How many of you thought that? Just a lot more cardio. I have to run more, I have to walk more. Most of us thought that. So, yes, cardio is important, but if everything underneath it isn't taken care of, cardio isn't going to do that much for you. Make sense?
Frank, just a real quick interjection. I'll do a Facebook post on that pyramid so that those of you who didn't write it down or just kind of want to have that as a reminder, I'll make sure you guys have it.
All right.
Does that say, is that say 0.7 in the protein intake?
We'll go over that later.
All right.
But good, it's a good question. So, now we're going to talk about what it takes. How much effort do you want to put? If anybody knows Chris Pratt and knows him from his Office days, he was a little tubby. He wasn't exactly a quote-unquote sex symbol. Yet, in a span of 9 months or so, he got in shape for his role, Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm a big Marvel nerd, so of course I'm going to reference Guardians of the Galaxy. And he was on an interview, and basically they asked, how'd you lose weight? What did you cut out immediately? He said fun. Because in order for him to get the results that he needed to get, he had no fun for 9 months. Okay? That's nothing. When we talk about fun, we're talking about eating out, date nights. We're talking about alcohol, all that good stuff. So, which brings us to the cost of lean. What does it cost to be lean? At every level, fitness level you want to be at, there comes a benefit and a trade-off. So, if we kind of go where, let's just say this is the average American here. For men, it's above 20% body fat. For women, it's above 30%. And this is kind of where most people lie. At this point, you know, maybe you exercise once or twice a week, but it's not very consistent. You know, you maybe pay attention to what you eat for lunch, but you don't really pay attention to anything else. Or maybe your life is just crazy and you're not paying attention to any of it at all. Benefits is that it's easy, it doesn't require any thought or effort. Okay, the trade-offs are usually, generally speaking, poor health, low energy levels, things like that. Okay, as you move on into on the continuum, we get a little leaner. So 15% body fat for men, 25 to 30 for women. So at this stage, maybe you're going to the gym 3 times a week. Maybe you're paying attention to lunch and dinner, but not paying attention to anything else. So you're getting a little better, not that consistent. It's improved health. Exercise is easy and enjoyable. It's not very challenging, and requires some thought, some planning, but nothing crazy. Before I continue to this one, just out of curiosity, where do you think I am? Do you think I'm 15%, 10%? I just want to know.
11.
I'd say
11?
12.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 to
12?
12.
10, 12, okay.
Nine.
All right, where do you think TJ's at?
Like
5.
8.
Okay.
Wait, okay, let's repeat that again. You think Frank's at 11 or 12 and TJ's at 8?
Okay.
I think Frank is
No, I
higher
think
than
it's the
11 or
opposite.
12.
Yeah, I'd say
I'd say you're
like 8 to 10.
All
I
right.
think you're closer to 15.
Ready for me to blow your mind? I'm here, 15 and up. So I'm like 15, 16%. TJ he's at 17, 18%. Okay?
What's the difference?
So, what's the difference between us? Our body fat percentage is higher, but I think I look good.
Now you're president.
So,
Different body types.
so different body types. But what else? What else?
He was having more fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
What was that?
His
Marty
body
said
mass
he's
is
bigger.
Yeah.
Oh.
We have more muscle.
Yeah.
TJ has a lot more muscle. I have a lot more muscle. And if you've seen the way TJ eats, if you've seen the way I eat sometimes, we can get away with a lot more because we have a lot more muscle. But if you've also seen the way we train, back to the trade-offs, it makes a difference. So, we're gonna kind of fast forward back into this, and as we continue on, you're gonna see the benefits get better as far as how you look, how you feel, and the trade-offs are gonna get a little steeper as well. So let's say if your goal is 15% as a male, this is again where I hang out, fairly easy to maintain. You will probably be able to reduce or eliminate many medications, which for some of us maybe that's super important. The trade-offs are, it's gonna require some sacrificing, some planning, some minor social sacrifices. It doesn't mean that you can't go to happy hour ever. It just means maybe you can only go to happy hour once every other week. Does that make sense? As we get,
I want you to hear him. Other week.
I know.
That's
that
this.
is like, wow.
Yeah.
We heard it.
Okay. As we get steeper, so 10% for men, 20% we're getting a lot more fit. Again, the trade-offs. Let's look at the trade-offs, because to get here, you need to, it requires more planning and it's going to require greater sacrifice. So maybe instead of going to happy hour every other week, you have to go once a month. Okay? Let's go to the next one.
Wait, what was the last thing on there? May need assistance or coaching. Okay.
So, right
You
here.
need a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Once we're here, I am a unlicensed psychiatrist for some of you people.
Yes, you are.
Back to the trade-offs, that was a good one to point out. When you get to this stage, that's where we come in. Because we're helping you pick out your food, trying to dial in your nutrition, trying to dial in your exercising. Then we get even leaner, 6-9% for men, 16 to 19% for women. Let me tell you that that's lean, especially for women. That is pretty lean. When you get to this point, you probably, depending on your body type, again, depending on your body type, you might see your six-pack. Your overall health is going to be really good. Your trade-offs is that you're probably going to struggle in social situations. When you go out with friends and all your friends are eating nachos and wings, you're going to be like, I'm not going to do that, or I can't do that if I want to keep this up. So, a lot greater social sacrifice. And then we're going to get all the way down to -6%. So let's pretend -6% here. Let's pretend this is where Chris Pratt was in that one scene where his shirt was off. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. In that one scene where his shirt was off. Because this 6% and under 16% for women, this is not somewhere your body likes to be. Unless you're genetically gifted and your body just likes to hang out there, your body doesn't like to be there. So most people you see, supermodels, actresses, actors that are in this level, bodybuilder competitions, when you saw TJ a couple years ago doing his body comp, his life was not fun.
No,
Okay?
nor was ours.
When you're here, I'll let him know you said that. So when you're here, you're not having any fun. Chris Pratt wasn't having any fun. People who get to this stage don't live here. They're here for a moment in time, for that one shot, for that one fashion show. They usually don't live there. Does that make sense? Okay. So, All that goes down to, what are you willing to stick with? What are you willing to do? Are you willing to give up happy hour every week or every day? Or
Blasphemous.
are you not willing to do that, but you're willing to do a few other things? You kind of have to check your expectations. We all have different tastes. Some of us may have food allergies, tolerances, different cultural background. Okay? I'm not willing to not eat a tortilla ever again in my life. How dare you? Okay? Hormones. Your age is going to affect your hormones. Whether you're male or female, it's going to affect how your body handles hormones and everything like that. Your lifestyle, what your work is like, your budget, where you are on the socioeconomic spectrum is going to affect what you're willing to do. Which takes us to an area where we want to check our expectations. Results may vary. In the world of physiology, there's 3 main body types. I would say this is more of a spectrum, because depending on where you are, you might fall in between one of these two. But this is the far end of one spectrum, that's the far end of the other spectrum. If you're over here, we'll call it an ectomorph, I'll call it lanky. These are the people that are naturally lean, that it doesn't take a lot for them to work out, and you see their abs, and they have a really high metabolism, usually younger, because as we get older, that starts to change too. In the middle, if your body type's there, you put on weight a little easier. It's a little harder, you're a little more sensitive to carbs. Then if you go all the way to endomorph, it's really easy for you to put on weight. You're very sensitive to carbohydrates. And so you have to kind of check your expectations depending, and understand that because of your body, because of what you were given at birth, you have to make certain changes based on that, and you can't do what everybody else does. We also want to check our expectations based off of age. Okay, so we like this. This is a version of a chart that we like, and wasn't able to use the chart that we like because it wasn't as legible. But essentially, we have a lean, ideal, and average for males up top, females at the bottom. And if we notice, things kind of shift as you get older. So what's lean for somebody in their 50s is considered average for somebody in their 20s. What does that mean? That means is you don't want to aim for being like a 20-year-old. You want to aim for being what's healthy for your age, for where you are, okay? So this chart, we can go over in more detail at another time, but the biggest takeaway is that, you know, where you are might be pretty good, and you only need to go a little bit further. You don't have to aim for looking how you did in your 20s. Make sense? So we kind of covered everything there with the expectations and what it takes to burn fat, and now we're going to talk about at results only, what do we do, and what we preach. So what do we preach? Do you guys remember that golden pyramid of fat loss? Okay? At results only, what do we do? What do we tell you guys to do? We tell you to eat a balanced diet, balanced nutrition that is in the right quantities. Some of the biggest things that we go over is figuring out what's the right quantity for you, because that's the biggest thing is portion size, especially in the States when our plates are this big, trying to figure out what it is we need to eat. We also harp on you with post-workout protein intake. That's this one, the next step up in the pyramid. If you're not having your protein post-workout, you're not replenishing those amino acids and building that muscle back up. The last thing we want when trying to lose weight is muscle loss. Next one, majority of the workouts, lifting weights. How many of you have come to a results only class and not lifted a weight? I should not see a dang hand, okay? We lift weights every single workout. So we're lifting weights for usually 75% of the workout, with the last 25% we spend on cardio. Then, if you've read the nutrition journal, maybe you haven't, maybe you just need a reminder, we harp on sleep. Sleep is, again, one of the most important things when it comes to your body and how it functions, okay, aside from nutrition. If you're not getting enough sleep, your body isn't releasing the right hormones, your body isn't replenishing the muscle it lost, it's not going to burn the calories that you want. And of course, cardio, the other 25% of the workout. You'll notice we always do a little bit of cardio. We never kill you on cardio. We want to lift weights and do a mix of everything. Some of you have seen these or participated in some of these. The programs that we offer, Fit in 42. You guys know the drill in Fit in 42 if you've seen people do it. It's a 7-week program. I mentioned before, I can't give you an exact eating program. I can't, but with Fit in 42 we can, because Fit in 42 was written with the help of a dietitian. Okay? That is a program that has been licensed that we can use. This one's a little more intense. Like I said, what are you willing to do? If you're willing to do everything Fit in 42, which is the first one, is no alcohol for 42 days. If you're not willing to do that, then that's not a good program for you. But if you are, this helps us create habits quickly. And the best part about this one is that after 7 weeks, that you're able to use those habits to kind of incorporate your own eating style back into it. New Year, New You, we're almost done with that. We got 3 weeks left of New Year, New You. It's an 8-week challenge, 90% consistency we preach. So if, let's say you ate 5 times a day, 3 meals, 2 snacks, 35 meals a week. Of those 35 meals, you can have 4 of them that are not so bad, or 4 of them that are not so good, rather. So if you have dessert, that's one of your 4. If you skip a meal, that's one of your 4. If you drink heavily, like more than a 4-ounce glass of wine, that's one of your 4. So we are trying to promote more consistency at a faster pace to get create habits a little faster. Precision nutrition. So, like I said, we're all certified. Kelly's level 2, Bob's level 2, I'm level 1. For the certification, I'm in the process of finishing level 1. We're focused on small, slow habits, and this is what allows us to help you every single day without, adhering to one single program. We always get, what should I eat? What should I eat? What should I eat? Remember when I said you have to do the work? I can't tell you what to eat or what to change if you don't bring me a food log review, okay? You have to bring us that, because if I don't know what you're eating, I can't make any kind of suggestions that I don't know. That's the correct answer, I don't know. Help me know, and then I can help you pick what to eat. So, the question of the day, then, which diet is the best to lose fat? Tell me, Frank, I just want to know which one. Tell me the one. It's the one that makes you pay attention to what you're eating. It's the one that promotes whole food. It's the one that makes you exercise. And it's the one you're going to stick to. So, if you're like, Frank, there's this new keto diet that I want to try. What do you think? Should I try it? I'm like, well, you know you can't eat carbs. Yeah, I know, I can do that. Okay, can you do that forever? Well, I can do that for like 5 weeks, and then once I'm down, I'll just eat carbs again. Your body's not going to like that. So, what are you going to stick to? Not for 5 weeks, not for 8 weeks, but what are you going to stick to long term? Make sense? And then lastly, just some quick overview, different macronutrients. All these are just basic nutrition stuff. Protein, complex carbs, healthy fats. Alcohol has its own little category because it's made from sugar, but it's actually more calories. So alcohol's second most calories. When you're drinking a lot of alcohol, you're not helping yourself when the goal is to lose weight and build muscle. Well, what do I eat then? What do I avoid? We don't like to say you can't have this, because if you tell me I can't have something, God darn it, I'm going to go have it. So we like to talk about, what do we need to eat less of? If you're eating any of these, that's okay. If you're eating any of these right now, it might be hard to see, but proteins, if you're eating fried meats, if you're eating chicken nuggets, if you're eating high-fat sausages, processed soy, high-mercury fish, yeah, makes your mouth water. But we have to eat less of this, okay? When it comes to carbs, if we're eating cereal bars, fruit juices, things that don't have any fiber and no resemblance to what they once were, okay? We need to eat less of these. I'm not saying never have it again, I'm just saying eat less of it. Then you notice we go to eat some. So we're not saying eat a lot of these, we're not saying minimize it, we're just saying you can eat some of these here and there. You have cottage cheese, tofu, Canadian bacon. You'll notice that as we go on, the foods get a little less processed. So we want to get less processed food, eat some of. Eat more of. Biggest thing I want you to take away about this list. If you notice, the eat more of list, I couldn't even fit. I had to cut it off. The eat more of list is way bigger than the eat less of or the eat some of. So you have way more options of food you can eat lots of. Aren't options great? You like options? Lean proteins, your minimally processed carbohydrates, that's your quinoa, your wild rice, things like that. And then, of course, your unsaturated fats. These, if you want those, clearly we can get those to you at the gym. If you want those. Then we also provide some, I think we provide these to you at some point in the nutrition certification. If not, these eat more ofs are on the suggested grocery list. So, let's think back to the statistics. $62 billion spent on weight loss and supplements, 40% clinically obese. The reason I'm here is because I don't want you guys to become part of that statistic, okay? I don't want you to waste your money. I want you to spend your money wisely on good information, which we try to give you at Results Only. And hopefully, we have given you, all the information of what it takes to, why it's so hard and to lose fat, and what is going to give you the red flags to not go towards certain diet plans. Hopefully, we've given you information on what it takes to actually lose fat. And then lastly, all the stuff that we already provide for you at Results Only that we hope that you take more advantage of now after seeing this presentation. With that, I'll close it and open up to any questions you may have.
Let's give Frank a round of applause. So, you do not have to put your hand up for this. But as I was making Mari's brain explode because I was carrying a baby around and she could not even imagine that. So if you were to walk out this door, I do not want you to put your hand up. I do not even want you to make eye contact with me. If you would walk by this little thing of Hershey Kisses and Crackle Bars and what, if you're that person who goes like this is mind-blowing for you. Because this screws all of this up. Just one or two of these. If you're just like, I'll eat one on the way, and then I'll save one for later. Oh, crap, I ate it by the time I got back to work. This screws all that up, okay? We could spend hours talking about insulin. We could spend hours talking about timing. There's tons of stuff, and we want to get to your questions in just a few minutes. But the basics of what Frank just went over, if you're not doing that, you don't need our help yet. It's when you're doing this stuff religiously for 8, 10, 12 weeks, and then you're going, okay, something's not moving. Something's not changing. Does everybody at least get that part of it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so two things that I'd like you to throw out of this. One, questions for Kelly, Frank, and I that are based on this. And two, just preface whether, hey, could we learn more about this in the future so that we have the ability to talk more about the things you don't necessarily have knowledge on. Is that good? Perfect. Go. Who has a question for Frank? Hands first.
Trish.
So I asked about that protein number.
Yes.
How many grams of protein per pound?
So,
Repeat the question for the people in the back.
There was a chart long ago that said how much protein you should have per pound, because I just had some blood work done, and like uric acid is the protein in your body, and mine is super high.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, well, you're eating way too much protein. But I'm really only eating, I would say 80 to 90, 70 to 90 grams of protein a day.
The chart here, it's 0.7 grams to 1 gram per pound.
So that would be, I calculated,
that
that would be 90 for me.
Yep. So if that's 90, you're at where you need to be. The question might be for, again, I'm not a dietitian or a medical professional, so it could be the question of how your body's processing the protein. It could be where your protein's coming from.
So again, every body is different, right? And as we age, our own bodies are different. So the guidelines there are exactly that, guidelines. So when we say 0.7 to 1 gram of protein, also that is based upon your ideal weight, not necessarily the weight that you're currently at. For you, you're right there, you're in that range. But if your medical professional is saying, you've been living at this level for a while now, and maybe we're seeing some effects of that, and that may be a time where you then tweak it. And again, that is all based on concrete, solid information that Trish has gotten from a medical professional. So at that point, we would work with that and say, okay, that's what they're telling you that you need to do. Let's try that out. Let's see how we then adjust the other components of your diet to be in support of that, right? Because if she's going to get less calories from protein, there's going to have to be a trade-off. Is she going to get more calories from carb, or are we going to go with, healthy fats? That's the discussion that's that next step discussion that we have to saying, okay, here's what I've been told. Help me wrap my head around that. Help me make sense of that, given the dynamic of the rest of my life. How much exercise you're doing, how much stress you have. All of those things are key players.
So I'm more of a black and white type of guy, as you guys all know. So for those of you who are newer and did not know this time period of results only, when we had a client who came into us and was 680 pounds, do you think I told him he needed to eat 680 grams of protein every day? No. I tried to get him to eat 200 grams of protein every day because he was eating 450 grams of protein every day. Does everybody kind of get, so that's an extreme version of this, but if you have been living at 250 and we want you at 200, we're not necessarily going to say we want 200 grams. We're just trying to get you closer to a real number because you're probably not eating enough protein anyway. Does everybody get that? Okay.
Who else? Who we got? Try me.
How about some questions that we didn't address that you would like some help with? Margie?
No, I just have, the chart that you showed on where your body fat range should be, and there was adjustments for age.
Yep.
Do you think you could send that one along
Yes,
too
we
when
can.
you do it?
Yeah.
Because
We also
I
have it
love that
posted in
there's
the
an
office.
adjustment for age.
Yeah, and when you look at it,
Seriously,
I know, and that's
bang for your buck.
when
and you
Frank
spend
and
a
I
lot
were
of bucks
talking
getting
about
where
that
I am.
beforehand. If there wasn't an adjustment, what would each of those brackets look like? They would have just been
Oh,
linear,
wow.
right, straight up and down.
Uh-huh.
But we saw that
Yeah.
they're like this. So that's just showing that as we age, our bodies are different, our expectations should be different, and our bodies
That one.
use the energy that we consume differently.
And what's across the top part of that chart? I mean, what are the columns up and down? I mean, you have
So,
the age going
These
horizontally.
are the
to
body
fat.
fat percentages,
This is-
and these are the ages.
Age.
So you
So
wanna
say,
be
so
between
say
31
at
and 37.
56 and up,
Huh.
lean is from, and this is for men, 10 to 17. Ideal is 19 to 25. So that's just showing,
So
in your 20s,
I got those.
your lean top mark is like 8.5. Big difference.
Yeah.
So when people have a target in their heads, when Frank was mentioning, let's make sure we have realistic expectations, that's part of the conversation.
Jen.
Are foods that are inflammatory in your system a thing?
Yes.
Yes, very much so.
Can we maybe have a conversation about that on
Yeah,
another day?
we can
Because
have-
it's
we
a
can
big
talk-
topic.
Maury?
but-
Mari's taking notes.
Anything with sugar.
Inflammation talk.
Foods.
And
Foods.
anti-
Foods.
Gary?
Yeah, did you say the eat more of and eat less of tables are somewhere on the
So
website?
a version of that is in the nutrition booklet that I think many of you have gotten before.
But we'll
we
make
can
sure you
also-
get it.
We'll
Yeah,
send,
print them out.
the New Year, New You.
Yep, yeah, it's in the suggestions.
but we will, don't, go, cleaning out your house and scrambling to find it. We'll go ahead, we'll get you those this week as well. We'll just send those along with this chart.
Cindy?
You mentioned the role hormones play.
Yeah?
In any future discussion, will we get a little deeper into that?
So I'm going to answer that question. We kind of get into a little bit of a difficult subject. We can be basic, but as Frank and I and Kelly were going over the slideshow presentation and then looking at the demographic of people who are going to be sitting in front of us, we're not talking to 18-year-olds who are about to leave for college and how they need to not eat in the cafeteria 27 meals a day. We're talking to a different demographic. I would tell you, Cindy, that oftentimes we are going to have to bring in somebody who has more expertise in hormone replacement and hormone adjustment and all of those things when it comes to that particular thing, because it's so specific to you. So just like Frank's funny video of everybody's the same, it really gets technical when it comes to hormones. So we have had a lot of success with people when working together with doctors and naturopaths and people who do this for a living. But asking us for hormone advice, part of the reason why I'm doing this is we're on tape, but that is not really gonna be our expertise. Does that make sense? Kelly, you have more to add about that?
No, I think that the commonality there is, yes, there is a scope of practice issue, but the very basic, overwhelmingly true issue is that hormones have a significant impact on your metabolism, which then has a significant impact on your dietary needs and what your body does with the same amount of food that one person eats versus another. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I'm being referred to
Yeah.
a
Yep.
hormone specialist, so what I get from him, from her, I can bring back to you.
Yes.
Absolutely, and that's what Bobby was saying, that we've had a lot of success. That's one of those key things, like if someone has been doing what we say and they've really been religious and it's just something's not clicking, that's when we say, hey, let's go outside, let's get some more information so that we can dig a little bit deeper and try to figure out what's going on. And then when we have that information, now we've got another tool that we can help put the building blocks together and start making some progress.
And just to kind of close that circle there, guys, I'm not gonna leave you guys out on this one. When I'm having a conversation with Roxy, who just had her third baby in like 4 years, that's a very different discussion than I'm having with someone who's pre, post, or right in the middle of menopause. Okay?
Yeah.
Guys, just to not feel like you're being left out, there was an article I just read about the keto diet when Frank was doing his little confusion thing, and how the keto diet, which many men are on, is actually lowering testosterone levels for men. So, guys, just so you know, you don't want your testosterone levels to go down. So, you know, this is kind of like, you know, in the beginning of Star Trek, The Great Space and Beyond. We're eating very differently than you did in 2020 than we did in 1920. If you look at a kitchen from 1920, it doesn't look anything like a kitchen from 2020. There were gardens, people had chickens, they went out and got their, you know, their beef from their cow in their backyard. So there's a lot of moving parts right now when it comes to nutrition about making it really perfect for you personally. We can just only do the best that we can, and when we hit on something and we hit that little vein of gold, we just gotta keep riding it. Does that make sense? Okay. More questions, and let's get off hormones. We will talk about that at a different thing.
It's okay.
No, it's a good
Yeah.
question, it's just, it has a whole thing. Samantha?
What is your philosophy on the protein powder? I noticed that it was listed as one of the, kind of in the middle section, you shouldn't have a whole lot of it.
So that comes to, at the end of the day, you should be eating a lot of whole foods. So protein powder is a supplement that's great to use post-workout. But if, let's just pretend that you're like, I don't have a lot of time, I'm just gonna eat protein powder for breakfast, protein powder for lunch, protein powder for dinner, and I'm gonna eat a snack in between. That's when we're talking about when we're saying like eat some of. If you're having it a scoop a day for your post-workout nutrition, that is
Huge.
perfectly-
Awesome.
Awesome, that's great.
Yeah.
As long as, again, all protein powders aren't created equal, right? So if we're on that continuum, that you're on a high quality, which anything you're getting at the gym and many others are also very high quality, but we want to look at, what does that mean? We don't want there to be excess sugars. We don't want there to be a high level of carbohydrates. We would say that you want to be having post-workout a whey protein. You know, if someone is needing protein at night, then you would have a casein protein that's going to help stick with them throughout the night type of thing. But those are the specifics. But 1 protein shake to 2 protein shakes, depending upon the person, a day is great, especially if it's timed appropriately with the post-workout, because it gives you that replenishment that a lot of times we otherwise don't get, and makes your workout work so much better for you.
So I'll just add on to that, and I want to make sure we answer Samantha's question. When I was a kid, my dad went on a 3 protein shakes a day diet. Many of you probably remember this. We called it the OptiSlop because he never got to eat dinner with us, he never got to eat lunch with us, and all he did was drink protein shakes. The hard part for him was when he got off it and lost all that weight, he had no idea how to eat food because all he had done for 6 months was drink shakes. So did we answer the question the way you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
Is there more to your question?
No, I just wondered, you know, because I do usually have at least 1 a day, so is that too much or?
1 is definitely not too much, and oftentimes, depending on who you are, we might recommend 2. It's gonna be personal.
Again, I think it's more if like you're constantly replacing a real meal with protein, and you're doing it like 2 meals, 3 meals a day, and at that point you're not eating real food. Like Bobby said, you're just consuming just these shakes, and you don't know how to eat your food.
Bobby, this is kind of a follow-up to that. So
Sure.
if I'm, I'm a 7:00 p.m. gym
Yep.
person, and we go home, and it's probably 8:30, we sit down and eat a meal that is generally protein and vegetables.
Right?
Should I still be consuming protein while I'm still at the gym before I go home and eat that meal?
In my opinion, I would say yes, as long as it's not gonna completely screw up your meal. So, this kind of goes to the different people of the 5:30 a.m.ers versus the 7 p.m.ers. They're the extremes, which is many of the people in this room. So, if it's 5:30 in the morning, we would love it if you ate something at 4:30. No one's getting up at 4:30 just to eat. Okay, it's just not gonna happen. So we have to figure out how to make that hour after your workout really ideal. If you're on the 7 p.m. side, you have no problem having a little something before the workout. It's the after the workout that screws you up. So you have to kind of find that fine line, which is why at the gym, if you drink our protein and do what we do, and this is not a sales pitch for our protein, it is 125 calories and it is purely a protein supplement. It is not a meal replacement. We're not putting strawberries and bananas and blueberries and all sorts of stuff in it. So if you drink that, it shouldn't destroy your dinner. Granted, you're trying to eat, maybe a little while after that, whereas say at 5:30 when John and Lynn come, they would have a protein shake at 5:45, at 6:40, 6:45, and then maybe have breakfast at 8:30 and have a little window there. You just have to work with what works for you. Does that make sense? So, Marty?
But I'll
Yeah.
add to that, Jan, is that protein shakes, by nature of them being a protein shake, is not a better source of protein than real food after a workout. We're not saying that you need to have a protein shake because it's this magic shake. It's just that it's an easy way to get protein in. So if you're doing fine getting your protein in within that window, the 30 to 45 minute via real food, awesome. That's just usually harder for most people. So
I'm going to do something real quick, just because it is 12:45 and I know some people will have to get back to work. Does anybody have questions that we didn't address today that you would like us to address in the future, and we can start to prioritize some things that you'd like to know about? You all know, okay, John.
Good carbs, differences, how much better a good carb is than a bad carb.
So
Breads.
maybe difference between complex and simple,
Yep.
what would be good choices when it comes to carbs,
Yep.
the difference between breads versus carbs versus vegetables.
Yep, grains.
Okay, Mari, you got that? Terry?
My question is, what should you eat before you go to the gym?
Okay.
I'm someone that has to have something in my stomach before I work out.
Perfect, that's other head nodding on that one. How about any other questions we didn't address that you might want to hit?
What's in the BCAAs? Is there a lot of sugar?
No, there's no sugars. They use a sweetener. So another topic can be supplements.
Pre-workout and post-workout
Pre-workout,
supplements.
Post-workout
Fish
supplements.
oil.
Got that?
BCAAs are just amino acids, and it's usually a flavoring, and they use a
This,
sweetener. Like
this,
sucralose
this would go
or
back to,
stevia.
Which is still, it's an artificial sugar. So if you're trying to do a diet and not have sugars, that's really still the sugar.
you can look at the label and show you the grams of sugar. Yes, anything that ends in a OSE is a form of sugar, right? Because it's a glucose-based compound. So if you're trying to get to absolutely no sugar, then that's pretty hard to do. But we can look at that, and then you can say, okay, so if I have typically 2 scoops, I know that has, I think it's like 1 gram of sugar. It's really
Okay.
so for a lot of people in this room, this is even older than all of us, but just know that like the original Tarzan movies, where the women swooned over, what was his name, Dan Reeves, Steve Reeves, whatever his name is, he didn't have protein shakes, he didn't have BCAAs, he didn't have all these pills of creatine and all that stuff, and he still looked pretty damn good because he lifted a lot, he exercised a lot. Marilyn Monroe lifted weights. Okay, so let's not lose track of the fact that everybody just all of a sudden in 10 minutes gravitated to Frank's magic pill and magic powder where it still, if that pyramid was here, those are up on the list. Does everybody get that? Okay. Keep asking questions. We're happy to be here. I just wanted to let everybody know, people who had to leave. I didn't want you guys to feel like you were going to be late to work on our account. Ben.
I guess just to kind of echo the other questions about what should I eat before I work out, what should I eat after I work out. Are there any kind of golden rules for things that you might want to do versus might not want to do? Like, should I eat carbs before bed? What would be a good morning meal? Kind of be great to see a list or to hear a list of kind of golden rules.
We could, I think that's a topic we can go over another time, but.
Kind of timing of,
Sure.
nutrient timing.
Yeah, nutrient timing we can go over. But it's what, nutrient timing is, again, one of those things that it depends. You know, like Terry mentioned, she's one of those people that needs to have food in her stomach before she exercises. I am also one of those people. I know people that need to have a completely empty stomach, or else they'll get queasy. If they do anything strenuous, they will puke. So it depends, right? So nutrient timing, what you're gonna eat before, it depends. Like a fit individual, for Matt, I would say, hey, before we work out, you probably need a little bit of carbs. For someone who's struggling to lose weight in general, and they might have an insulin sensitivity, and there's a whole slew of things they're working on there, I wouldn't necessarily say, go have a banana before the workout. Maybe there's a better choice, right? So it's another one of those that it depends.
We'll often hear in, I think it holds true for most people. If you think about, you know, wanting to have your diet still have healthy fruits and vegetables and whatnot, fruits in general, higher in the glycemic index, right? Higher sugar. So consuming fruits in the morning, in the earlier part of the day, when you're going to be burning more calories, that's usually a great time to have your fruits. Fruits late in the day break down to sugar, and if you're not burning that, turns into fat and gets stored. So that's just a simple one where, like, if someone is making protein shakes and they're either going to add a fruit like strawberries, bananas, etc., or they're going to add a fat, we would say, like peanut butter, we would say in the morning, do your fruit-based shake. In the afternoon, if you're going to add something, don't put fruit in, let's put in maybe some fat. And your body's going to metabolize that better.
So we'll take one step backwards. So for, say, John and Lynn, who come early in the morning at 5:30, I would have no problem with them adding some strawberries and bananas and things to their protein shake if they want to do that. But for Trottle and Jan, I would say probably not the best idea to add that because you're going to be in bed within a few hours.
Perfect example.
All right, if you have any more questions, you guys can come up and ask us. Otherwise, we're going to dismiss this just in case people have to get to where they have to get to. Frank, nice job.
Thank you for all of your questions. For the next